I have actually had a client and they were trying to book their ex and then police need to be involved. I paid for you. I can do what I want. She was there as a waitress. $100 isn't worth that for me because again and again and again, they show this disrespect where they think they can touch you here and they want to push the boundaries, always try and kiss the girls, always try and ask for sex when they know they're not sex workers. Like this venue, it had axe throwing. They had printed out photos of the fiance's face and put it as the target. Nah, something just doesn't feel right here. It turns out that those guys were just literally like junkies. There was another worker there that was like blacklisted as well. So the mum actually got involved in the show. Girl was there too. That I wasn't aware of. I got told 16, 17-year-olds, as much as it's a underage, it's very different to a 12-year-old. Blacklist us for this. I have all the screenshots.
Wow, I feel good. I knew that I would now. I feel good.
Welcome back to another episode of the Spicy Waitress Diaries. I'm your host Tia and this is Opal. Today we're going to be doing a Casual Monday episode. Hey. One thing that I do when I take bookings is I ask all the questions of the booking, obviously, and then we ask age, nationality, and how many people are there. I get a lot of questions for why we ask nationality, and we have quite a few stories that have made this such a thing in the industry that now we do ask it. They're not very nice stories, I must add. So when girls go to a booking as well, everyone needs to remember that it is quite a vulnerable situation for a girl to walk into. There could be two girls walking into a group of 40 guys. It can be quite intimidating, and especially when they don't know what they're walking into. So we must get their age so we know what type of party it's going to be. They might be in their 50s. They might be in their 20s. You know, it's going to be more of a party, drinking. And then obviously we can't book for anyone under 18. So there's that. Then as well, nationality. Everyone has a different way of partying. If you party with Greeks, if you party with Italians, Aussies, everything's a bit different. So yeah, walking into the party and especially taking off all your clothes and you do dances in front of these people, you want to make sure that the girls are safe and that they feel comfortable with who they're around. Yeah, and I think it's really important, like, for these girls to have some sort of familiarity when they rock up to the actual job. Like, yes, I've applied for a job that's 20 Aussies in their 30s. And then Tia also does kind of say what they do sometimes as well. So if they're chippies, they're going to be Aussie chippy laid back people. It's about having us creating that familiarity for the girl to rock up. And that's exactly what she's getting. Yeah. It's always been a rule of thumb for us that if the clients lie to us about their ethnicity, their age, how many people are there, if there's mixed there, if there's girls and guys, then the girls can leave. A rule of thumb across the whole industry. You need to be honest as a client about all of those details. For example, I have actually had a client, this isn't nationality, but they've sent me their ID and it wasn't even their ID. And they were trying to book their ex and she had told me his name. And the ID he sent wasn't his name. So she was like, can you just make sure, is it this person? I had the ID. I was like, no, that's not the name. And then I went on to my Xero and did the invoice and his name came up and it was her ex's name. Yeah. So this is why you treat it like a business. You run through the IDs. I'm so glad that I did that. As soon as I did, because I don't normally do the invoices straight away and I just happened to do it and it worked out.
She didn't work for him, yeah?
She didn't work for him. And not that he was dangerous, he just wanted to get back with her and she was just kind of laughed at it, but she's like, no, that's not happening. And unfortunately you actually can't always know what's going to be at a booking, but we do our best as the agents to get as much detail.
Yeah. And we are getting a lot, like you're getting a lot of clients kind of being resistant towards us getting these details, but it's so important for the girl. Like she's rocking up to your party and then getting half naked, like get over it.
Yes. And if the guys who don't want to send me their ID and that, I don't go through with it. So we have the phone call. You can kind of sound if they sound sketchy and then, they don't want to send their ID. I understand that there is a privacy element and some people are not doing the right thing. At the end of the day, that's none of our business. However, anyone who's watching this, the ID stays with me and me only. I don't even send it to Opal unless she specifically asks. But that's as far as it goes. It's just like any company taking your details, they do it for security purposes. Because if something does happen to our girls, which unfortunately not on any job really, like to the full extent of sexual assault, like all the way, but it can happen. And if that does happen, then police need to be involved. And if we have no idea who this client is, how are you meant to do anything? I want to say that I'm not racist. However, being in this industry for 7 years, I think this is 8th year. Over that time, hearing multiple stories about this nationality and giving multiple chances, we just now will not book for them, or we just need to really know who they are. Unfortunately, we have had girls raped, sexually assaulted. One guy pushed a girl onto the bed and tried to kiss her and said, I paid for you. I can do what I want. She was there as a waitress. She was not an escort. Not that it even matters. It was clearly laid out what service she was there for, and he took that too far. Now, in saying that, he was the only one at the party who did that. Everyone else was kind of like, get off her. So I'm not saying that everyone is bad. I'm just saying from experiences when we've given chance after chance in the earlier years, it's never turned out well. However, I have worked for some groups and they were beautiful. They were lovely. However, when majority are coming back with things like this.
Yeah.
And
the best. And sort of just a blatant disrespect for women in their culture as well. Like I work at a club. I still work at a club, and I will turn my head and not offer dances to, you know, a certain culture as well, because I just know, like, I've been stripping for like 5 years and I just know $50 isn't worth that for me. $100 isn't worth that for me, because again and again and again, they show this disrespect where they think they can touch you here, and, you know, it's not worth the money. I just know if I want to not burn myself out and not have negative experiences, I can say that's not worth the money for me.
Yeah, and girls are allowed to put that boundary in place. And I also want to say that the whole group of people that specifically book topless waitresses and book strippers are just a small part of that culture. And unfortunately, that is probably the worst part of them that we're seeing. So they haggle on dancers. They want to push the boundaries. They want to always try and kiss the girls, always try and ask for sex when they know they're not sex workers. I can't remember the last time I didn't have a complaint. I have had one try to call and tell me how it's going to happen, and like, I'm not giving you my ID. No, it's going to be cash. Oh, there's 10 guys here and we want one girl. It's not going to happen. And it's all the same, and it's repeat. So unfortunately, it has set a bad taste in a lot of our mouths, and a lot of girls just won't work for them because of what has happened. One of our workers did go to a job, and this wasn't booked through us, and I won't name names or anything. So they were all dressed a certain way for their culture, and they just were making jokes about transsexuals, lesbians, and very big, super homophobic. And they had fake guns at the booking, and they were talking about bombing people. And one of our girls that we know went to do a lap dance, and she was like, you need to take the outfit off. And he goes, why? I'm not going to do that. And then he grabs his fake gun. He goes, I'm going to shoot up the place, and just has his little fake gun. And she's just standing there like, what the hell?
No, they weren't Arab.
What were they?
The wife was Arab. The fiance was Arab.
And they were making fun of it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is even worse.
But so they were, I think they were Aussie, and the groom was about to marry an Arab lady, and they, for their bucks party, you know how like bucks parties, they wear costumes and stuff. They were all wearing the full burqa. I'm not sure if it's called burqa for a guy.
A burqa is the headpiece.
Okay.
So
the gown, they were wearing the full white traditional gowns and running around with fake guns, taking the piss out of their culture.
Then for him to do that, one of the girls actually did leave the booking because of how homophobic they were being
and racist.
Yeah. And just like, for a girl to walk into a situation like that, what are you even thinking?
Yeah, disgusting. Yeah. And it's the sort of situation where you just have to go, all right, I'm here. am I going to like sit with my morals and, be strong on that and just be like, no, and leave? Because, this wasn't us. This wasn't our job. Some of the agents will get mad that you leave a booking where you haven't been directly affected. And then it's like this conflict of self, Like I remember when I went to a venue and it's like there was a Bucks party group there, and at this venue it had axe throwing. And they had printed out photos of the fiance's face and put it as the target, and we're all trying to throw the axe on her face.
I said, do you know there's a version of that for the hens party, but it's, I think the penis or a kiss gets put on the man's head and then they're fucking throwing axes at the wife. You're like, you kiss on their face, you have to kiss the husband's face, then what the men are doing. You're like,
men are from, what is it? Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Literally. Wow.
Doing that and just,
disgusting. I was chatting to a friend on the weekend about her rocking up to a job out the front of a hotel. And I thought this was really important to bring up because it actually scared me when she was telling me this story. Like, apparently she was out the front of the Hyatt, which is a hotel in Melbourne. And she was like, how you typically call the client and you're like waiting out the front for them to come and get you. She's like waiting. And this like group of like maybe 3 or 4 guys come up to her and they're like, yep, we've ordered you. Maybe they overheard her phone call conversation or something. But these 3 guys, apparently they looked like they had been up for like 4 days, and they just like came up to her and was like, yep, let's go. Come with me. What's your name? And like introduce themselves exactly like the interaction would happen for like a Bucks party. And they're like, oh, we actually couldn't get this room at the Hyatt, so we're just down the road a little bit. And she walked with him for like maybe, a couple steps, and then she was like, nah, something just doesn't feel right here. It turns out that those guys were just literally like junkies on the street that had clocked onto her situation and overheard her like being like, hey, I'm downstairs. And yeah, God knows what would have happened if she actually went for that.
yeah, okay, I actually never even thought about that.
I know, neither did I. And that's why I'm like, I need to tell this. Like, so
definitely.
dangerous.
Or so with the agent and the workers, I'll be communicating with the guys, hey, the girls are downstairs, or call the guy's number. Call the guy, speak with him. He knows all the workers' names, so make sure they know your name. And you're like, I didn't even think that there should be a security process in that section, but now definitely make sure you know the client's name. We always put that there and just be like, what's your name? Yeah, we ask what's their name.
She did. That's why she was like, nah, this is not right.
Oh, so proud of her for
having
that thought.
Yucky. We had a worker go to a regular client, like regular booking in the city, and she has worked for him multiple times before. But I think, in this instance, this is like the thing. If you're rocking up to a job that's not been like it's been described, it's not how it's been described, it really is uncomfortable. So when she rocked up, I think there was like meant to be 2 guys.
Yeah.
And just the 1 worker. And she rocked up and there was like 4 girls. And like 2 of them she knew from like outside of work as well. Like there was another worker there that was like blacklisted as well. So in that instance, she called us and said like, hey, I'm really uncomfortable. There's not the amount of people, or there's girls here, when it was meant to be a companion sort of booking with 2 guys.
Yeah.
And she called us. And then in that instance, we called him straight away and said, look, she can leave and she can keep a certain amount of pay. So we keep a $100 cancellation in that instance. And then she can go home and get out of that environment. And as well, like I've rocked up to jobs where I've been booked for a show, like a dominatrix show. I think there was meant to be 12 guys, but there were actually like 20. And I know it doesn't seem like a big difference, or 12 to 20, but it actually creates a whole different atmosphere of people. Like when I did that show, it was so chaotic. Like it was probably to date, like that was probably my most chaotic booking. And I would never do that again. The numbers makes a difference. They were yelling out things. I mean, the mum actually got involved in the show.
Girl was there too.
The mum.
But did they say that it was mixed?
Yeah. I know it was mixed.
Okay.
But the mum, I was like, I was whipping this buck, and she had come around me, and she had like a pool noodle or something, and she was like pretending to hit me, and then the boys were going crazy because I was like hitting her son. So it was just a fuck whipping. But yeah, just the rocking up, and it's like, oh, I've got to do a show in front of 20 guys. Like, you know, it's such a difference between, I feel like 12's intimate.
Yeah, very much smaller crowd. When we've done bookings and girls have rocked up and they're like, you get that message of, oh, there's this many people here, or oh, there's these people here, and you're like, your heart sinks. You're like, fuck.
And I think another kind of honorable mention here is the 18 thing.
So I booked a job for this client who he said 18th birthday party, and it just kind of went over my head because he was older. And then I was like, wait, 18th means that there's probably people under 18 going to be there. Not everyone's 18. So I had to then pull him up on it and say who's going to be there. And he goes, oh, there will be some 17, 16-year-olds. And I was like, we can't do that. And then he said, all we want is just some girls to serve drinks. Like, I really want my son to just have this experience, each to their own. And then I was like, okay, it's illegal to actually do topless. I did look this up, and if you look it up yourself, so we did lingerie with topless rates, and it's just like going to the beach, seeing a girl in a bikini. All the girls did was serve drinks. There wasn't even shows, lap dances, anything.
And they didn't serve drinks to the minors either.
Yeah. Parents were there as well. So there was parents saying, we're okay with this on a private property for their birthday. They can do what they want. However, when the girls got there, there was said to be a 12-year-old there, which was so bad, and we just never going to do that again.
I mean, if you're underage, you're underage.
Like,
but yeah, I think that kind of like tiptoes into being a bit weird, you know? So we do regret taking that booking, even though we didn't do anything illegal. The drama that stemmed from that whole booking and us being blacklisted again was just, it was avoidable, really.
Yeah. And when I said to the girls and I spoke to the workers, I said, this is the case. Are you fine with that? And they're like, it's lingerie. We're fine with that. So everything was communicated well. Unfortunately, they did do something at the booking that I wasn't aware of. I got told 16, 17-year-olds, as much as it's a underage, it's very different to a 12-year-old. But that's their choice at the end of the day as parents, what they want to expose their kids to. That's not up to me. The workers got there and they told me, I said, if that is too uncomfortable, you can leave. They're like, it's fine. They were like, it was kind of funny. They were just walking around serving drinks.
The thing is, like, the girl that actually wanted to bring it all up and make a big drama out of it and blacklist us, she had an ulterior motive because she was working this job. She was on this job, and then she completely ghosted all day, didn't reply to any messages, and then all of a sudden had a cancellation maybe 2 hours before the booking, wasn't it?
20 minutes.
20 minutes before the booking. And obviously that's a full payment of $200 as cancellation. So now she wants to bring this all up, and you know the description of the job had always been the same.
Everything she had said, I was like, I have all the screenshots, and even when I had posted the job first and it wasn't mentioned, I then mentioned and I said, girls, apologies, I've just found out this information, are you comfortable with this? And they were like, yep. And I have screenshots of her saying, yep, fine with that. That's so fine. And then, all on the day it changed. And when it was 20 minutes, I panicked and I just copied and pasted the original message and I didn't change it. And it said on it, topless, there will be, I think I had muddled up the booking, but it was meant to say topless lingerie, but topless rates.
Yeah. So in the stress of like her canceling 20 minutes before the booking and you having to find a new girl in 20 minutes, you accidentally made a fucking technical error.
Yeah. And then I deleted it, and then some girl had screenshotted it, and when I reposted, she's like, did I just read that correctly? There will be underages there, and it's topless. And I was like, fuck. I thought, here we go. And I was like, it was meant to say this. Apologies. The girls who are working know that they're there. And then it was all, that's illegal. You're going to put these girls in a illegal situation. And I was just like, fuck me. I was just like, look it up. I looked it up straight. Like, I had looked it up and I had the screenshot, but I was just like, look, if anyone wants to communicate with me, message me privately. This is the case. End of story. Probably touch on escorts and what we need to take for them, and just some rules that I think anyone wanting to be an escort should take into account. So I'll start with them. So if you are an escort, you do want to make sure that, like, you personally as an escort, not through us, that you're taking IDs. When you rock up to jobs, like if it's sketchy, making sure that you check the room when you walk in. Like, you're not walking in and there's one guy and then there's 3 guys in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I've heard stories of this. So check your surroundings. Maybe have a driver who you send an okay to, because as agents, like, that's who you would send us to. Like, I'm okay, I'm good.
Share your location with a friend.
Yeah. Share your location. So message your driver, hey, I'm okay. Message your girlfriend, hey, I'm here, I'm okay. I'm in, I've been paid. I know in certain areas where it's illegal, if you really don't trust this guy and you think something's weird, you can actually ask them to take a photo of themselves with their penis in the photo. And if it's in any case where it's an illegal thing,
Where it's like an undercover.
Yeah, undercover.
They wouldn't do that.
They can't do that. And yeah, so they're just some rules to follow. What we do in the booking is the same questions as a party, making sure that we're speaking to this client, making sure that if this worker has had any experiences where they've had stalkers, so that we know some of our girls who have had this, and we always ask our girls, we don't want them to relive their trauma, but let us know if there's any situations, any names, any people that you don't want to be associated with at a booking.
Yeah.
Let me know, because we'd had one where I just felt it was a little off, and just any type of feeling, I will always just go on that. One of the girls had a stalker at a club, so I just made sure, like, what was that person's name, making sure it doesn't match, because she's walking into a one-on-one situation where at the end of the day, if they have bad intentions, it's easy for them to try and hide that until she gets there. So ID, talk to them, make sure you're going back and forth a bit on this type of booking. Certain people want to ask a lot of questions, and making sure that the guy isn't expecting porn star experience when he's booked girlfriend experience, making sure that there's condoms, making sure that there is a safety.
Like, leave no stone unturned, really.
Yeah.
Because it's better to deal with over the phone than rocking up there and having discrepancies. Like, it's awkward.
I'd rather do an extra 2 hours of admin than have to deal with a girl getting to a job and then something going wrong. Or well, that's it for our Casual Monday. Little dive into
Booking systems, escorts, story time.
Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe, and we will see you on the next episode.
Oh,